Starting off in a central with Acorn and Boltz. Now, first important note is that they are a frosted, I already can't speak, a frosted flats team. And this is the same drop spot that we had Sky and Scroll coming out of EU from. I haven't checked the other regions yet, so I don't know specifically if any other teams from any other regions yet will land here. We'll find out, of course, later. There are off-spawn situation. I imagine a lot of the strats are very, very similar. And I will also add, I'm not going to do too much on Sky and Scroll in this video because I do want to cover that more in a main channel video, but I will cover a game as well. So immediately looking around them, they've got a bunch of teams. This is one of their wins from game number 2. Team over on this side, Hill here, over here, bunch of teams up along north that are going to be probably kind of scuffed. Ocus to this side. Basically a lot of just kind of scragglers who may rotate in here. So we'll see what they end up doing actually for Surge later. Straight off the rip, this is something we saw quite a few teams doing across the weekend at Grands, was just making sure that they weren't getting lurked on. So buying one of these scanners, I think it's still worth 500 gold. I'm not sure if it's still 500 gold, no idea. But throwing 500 gold scanner down to make sure nobody is lurking on you is absolutely worth it in a Grands where, you know, if you're coming close to winning, I think this was like one of the final matches. This might be game 10 or something like that. Make sure no one's sneaking into your drop spot. As we saw, there's already, you know, quite a few people around. Do that, and that means now they're pretty certain that they can just harvest, get a bunch of loot up, spend some time swinging at walls, though getting tagged in the back. So their looting path has been insanely efficient. They've got like capped hards already. I was about to highlight that, but it's now gone. They've got gold because there's a lot of gold spawns in here. And look, the time, it's like, if I open the thingy here, it's like 3 minutes in from the start of the game. So really, they've probably looted for around 2 minutes total. Extremely quick off spawn. And if I fast forward here, you'll see, I maybe have skipped back a little bit too much, but they end up actually just using their overdrive nades. So the overdrive nade this early. I wish the map, if the time here would still be correct. At Epic Games, there's so many bugs replay mode. You'd be able to see exactly when this was. But notice zone is kind of pulling to the west. So from Frosted Flats, this is very clear. Zone's probably kind of pulled down southwest at some point, or at least west generally. So they're just insta using their nades to try to get deep here. So as you'll see, that's the, I think, second nade they've used at this point. I know they used 3 because I did see it earlier before I rewinded here. Continued to swing some wood. They basically got hards off spawn and then didn't get the wood layer. And then are just going hard for this vending machine here. Instantly box up, and this is one of the things I think went really underutilized this season generally, was just buying ammo from vending machines, because a lot of the time, like in a Surge game, you just want to be spamming and spraying, in particular like in a grand finals, and a lot of teams across the season, especially in Div Cups, I haven't seen many teams just like buying ammo, because, you know, you can either get an SMG ammo if you've got pistol, or you can get AR ammo here. I think they're both running assault rifles, so one's got a Spire rifle and the other one's got the burst, so just actually buying medium ammo here is incredibly useful. Also the fact that they got here in first zone, so they're already gone, means they can't be lurked on, right? You got Visuals and Braids who've rotated in to get this vending machine. They've gone all this way over to mid-map here to get this ammo. I mean, I don't know what their one had off spawn, so like planning multiple in the looting path kind of makes sense here. And now they're bang center. You see they're now here in the center. Next zone's going to pull where? Probably somewhere. Yeah, and they're still in the center. So this really early strat of just getting straight here has put them in such a good spot. Obviously got no damage, not taking any, but the net Surge damage doesn't matter too much. So I do want to see what they do actually for Surge. They're now basically sat here until 5th zone. They haven't shot this. I'm just going to say that was the first bullet that they have actually shot this entire game. So first time they shot, first time they've done really anything outside of this. So they are 0 on Surge. So this is kind of very much so the opposite of what a lot of the teams have been doing. They've been playing in Storm and then, you know, trying to get net 0 and then getting some little damage and then trying to avoid it by, you know, going a dead side. In this instance, you've got a team who lands at a mid-map spot like Frosted Flats, insta goes to center of the zone after that, and then it's just sitting there and doing nothing and then running here. So the risk here, of course, is that they have no Surge, literally 0 Surge, and they're not actually playing off of cap mats at this point either, or on like 107, 117, because they've had to make this rotate and they're below. You know, it's a bit of a risky strat because if you suck at rotating, you can get just absolutely shredded on every rotate, and if every partial pulls max for you as well, even more risky because you're going to lose damage on those max partial zones unless you have a way to kind of counter that. I think this is also where this shotgun comes in handy. What? I just keep calling this the long-range shotgun. What's it called? The extending focus shotgun. There we go. So they did buff this slightly from the start of the season. They made the bullet width a little bigger. I think that makes it easier to hit shots. I'm not actually 100% how this bullet width works. And a slight little damage buff as well. And then they increased the reload speed, or decreased the reload speed to make it a little easier. And that has seen a lot of players carry it in endgame. And there's scenarios like this where it's obviously very, very beneficial. Like you can see the position they put themselves in. I was going to say nice high layer, but it's slightly elevated. They're not like like on the side of the mountain. I mean, I guess Acorn kind of is. Boltz is in a good spot with this. So anyone rotating in from this direction, because this is where the zone is pulling in, now he can just use his extending focus to get like little chip 30, 40, 50 damage tags. And it's a little bit more of a guaranteed way of getting small amounts of damage than actually using the burst. And as I mentioned, we've seen a lot more usage of, like there, you know, you're almost definitely going to miss him if you use the burst there. And obviously Bolt's got good aim, but he got like a 50 surge tag there just by player rotating past him by using it alone. It does like detriment you in box fights, which we might see later, but these guys really weren't fragging that much, in particular in the early mid game, as you can see what their strategy has been already. Same as always, insta hit a nade. We've kind of seen this for most of the year already. Hopefully don't get tagged for any more damage here. They do. So they are pushing it very close to the edge on surge. If they get no more damage, they are going to be below. Interesting that they're aiming to claim quite a low layer. In this scenario, I feel like a lot of players now have been just building up a ton. I think the main issue with that is that they commit a bunch of mats and there's not many people to build off, right? You can see, for example, Cold and Ritual here, as they've come in, they've kind of ramped up a little bit. And the reason for this is then that, just similar to the previous zone that they were in, gives them way better options like visibility, right? Like look behind, and if they go into low grounds, right, you miss like everyone who's above this kind of cliff here by just being up on this high layer much better. Whereas now I think for Boltz and Acorn, they're kind of stuck a little bit low, which gives them, it's a little bit more difficult to actually get tags from here. But it doesn't commit as many mats, so you have to build up. So it depends how greedy you really want to be. Like, look at the angles Boltz is having to take here, right? Like, spraying through old brick to try and see if he can see, like, Queasy and Victor V at the backside here, rather than just, like, being up a layer and having, like, really nice visibility. Maybe this is, like, an intentional strat they like to do to try not be lobby-focused. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe there just wasn't anywhere that they could build off of, because I guess there wasn't any teams that you could connect to. It also means you don't get chopped as well. It doesn't seem like they have great visibility. Maybe Acorn's getting some tags here on this side onto... Yeah, there you go. Acorn's getting some tags onto this side over here, whilst Boltz is still looking back. The good thing is, I will say though, is, you know, a lot of times the position that they have here would be kind of rough because they've just gone straight into low ground on congestion. So, you know, a lot of the best teams will be putting themselves in dead side. You know, Rise and Muzz played really good today. I'm not entirely sure their strat, but they've gone deeper in. Pete and Poyo also deeper in. Putting yourself straight on congestion. Where are they? They're here. They're actually not even in from this position here. Very risky because if you get a bunch of teams building over you, they block any rotation you can make after that. However, if you're in congestion, all these players will rotate after you. So because everyone's rotating after them at this point, that means they have more opportunities for tags. So the players here have more opportunity to get tags, in particular because they went early. However, they're going to have a rougher second rotate. However, these players probably no opportunities for tags, or maybe some on like really long range tags from here. However, they have freer rotates the next zone. So it kind of depends on like how you played the early and mid. For Boltz and Acorn, because they've basically done nothing so far, this position, like being uncongested, will benefit them because it'll give them more opportunities for damage. As you've seen, like they've now gone up to 360 above, sorry. And that is fake because now it's up to 75. So not ideal. Just one of them got tagged, whatever it is. So again, they are still, because they've not got much damage early on, and this is Grands, you know, they are just probably going to be fighting for Surge. I don't mean literally fighting like W keying. I just mean they're probably going to be struggling for Surge throughout the majority of these games, or this game. You can see though how like if they got like one rough rotate, right, they've pulled zone here, which is pretty lucky, because like imagine here had they had like a complete Mack zone. So imagine from this position they had to rotate like all the way over here. They are getting tagged, right? Like Pete, Poyo, like all of these teams that are sitting in this position will hit them as they rotate. And now because they're only 75 above, like they're going to be below on that rotate. So this zone pull is definitely a blessing. You can see how like zone plays pull into Storm Surge RNG, in particular in the max partials. Like I think the partials are by far the most difficult part of every single Fortnite game. So let's like zoom out for a second. Like say if you're here, you're them. Like how do you rotate this with all of these teams around looking all the way over here if they pull the max zone without taking any damage and going below? Really risky. There's strats like you can they could probably play chugs and maybe go behind and like wrap round if they needed to, if the zone pulled max. Obviously they basically would need to try and even the damage, so a lot of the times like you can use this shotgun and spray obviously to try and like get as much damage before you go as possible so that you can kind of even that out. But yeah, the zone pull here either way definitely blessed them a little bit. And now to be honest, they kind of have the opposite, right? Like everyone's rotating into them, so now they have tons of opportunities for tags. I imagine this it's just a replay bus. That's funny. A replay bug. I imagine this van is not actually here. They probably have better sightlines. But again, similar to what I was talking about earlier, like imagine if they were here. Now look at the sight lines you have instead of being down here and kind of having these awkward, like you got to look up through these like kind of right edits. This is also like because of the strat that they played earlier, like they've also just been playing this with a no cap match. So at some point they're going to have to get like a refresh too. Hit the nade or love this. The way that they've naded here is very nice. This is a really good call from Acorn. So this was their boxes from down here below and the zone is kind of pulling like this here. So rather than, you know, nading into all of this, they've just gone right around and they're wrapping in this time. Well, I imagine imagine this time the position will be much closer to the center of the zone, away from other players. Might take a little bit of damage doing it, but really good. Of course, obviously, then you're not also just trying to overdrive grenade into like every other team in the lobby. Then now you can kind of see that they've wrapped all the way around from that backside. My camera's at the other angle now. If I zoom out from the map, beautiful. Like, look at the angle and the position that they're in here. Way under, away from everyone else. Like, kind of the complete opposite position that they were just in the previous zone. And now, you know, what I said about getting easier rotates when you're further away from everyone's true, right? They don't really need as many tags now. Or maybe they do. They're 97 above. So I was going to say, I thought they would still be a little bit higher, 200 above. So now they can put themselves in position to get good zones. And now another pretty good rotate for them. Another pretty good zone, but they can again go into this left side here. The good thing is, like, as a good team, you want to put yourself in positions where you can benefit from good RNG, right? Like, there's many positions here they could put themselves in where they could pull a good zone but still be absolutely screwed. This was another play I saw a lot. This is really something that started to take over the meta, and that is just the holding of cones or ramps on the other side. So what's actually on the other side here? I take it there's just a floor. I would imagine this is one of their floors. I don't actually know. These guys are just built in. Virgo and Shadow's built in. I imagine this is like I said, Boltz and Acorn's floor underneath. So just sitting and holding underneath and waiting for someone to do something with the tile below, above. A lot of teams are doing it, say in this instance, when you're above, right? Say you're above this ramp here and you wanted to see what the team is doing on the other side. You just sit and hold the ramp, like ready to flip it. And then when they start to pressure this wall on the other side, just as they break it, you can flip it and pump them. Because most players, if they say like 2 layers of builds, obviously this one's fully built, so you can't see the other one. If they see 2 layers of builds, they're just going to like double pickaxe and they're just going to swing. They're not going to be like super safe about it. So here you can see Acorn's just holding this. And then as soon as he hits the reset, it doesn't actually matter. Okay, that entire analysis does not matter at this point. Either way, it's a good point. It worked out because this is their floor there. I think Shadow and Virgo are just milking here. Is that what it is? Yeah, somehow they haven't noticed that this is Acorn's floor beneath them. Virgo's now just spotted that out. And one thing I think is really interesting about this clip I saw earlier, W awareness from Shadow, I'm not quite sure how they've managed to not notice that, I will be completely honest, is like, look at the aggression from Acorn, man. He's getting in. Acorn's getting in here. Look at the confidence. Boltz is the one sitting at the back, not trying to jump into the other player's box. One of the things, obviously, you know, you might just assume Acorn's an Unk IGL. That's not true. That is not true. He's jumping in the box, getting the wall replacing, chasing the body, hitting the Mongrel Classics. Man, he's going for it. And now, of course, they have a nice refresh. You got the Mythic Maven from that too. I wonder if Boltz is going to drop his thingy for it, or if they're just both going to still play. Yeah, both Maven would be kind of cheeks, I will be honest. But yeah, now they've managed to get long range shotgun, extending focus. I'll call it with an actual name. Now Mythic Maven. Didn't get too many mats refresh on that. I guess Shadow didn't actually have much. So just kind of see how they play this end game out. Starting on a nice high layer, nading out the top. Really nice actual positioning here to go close to height. I guess I thought there was a higher height established, I'll be completely honest with you. I was going to say it would be nice if they went underneath so they can't get focused. Is that what they're doing at all here? I don't actually think so. Maybe not. Nah, probably not. You can ignore that. All right, this 9th zone is also really nice. You can see they're sitting in the cones. They're like second height here, trying to figure out, can we take it? Now, let's be real. If you're Pete Poyo or something here, you're just hitting the overdrive grenades and taking height. They do make a smart play. They decide maybe that's not the kind of cycle play we want to make. So they've scouted out. They've seen that it's relatively healthy. And then they stagger the rotate. They let everyone else rotate first. Just before they hit this nade. Wow, that was almost a very cinematic shot right of the nade in hand. That would have been W replay mode for once. You can see they're basically the last team to go, right? They've built out, and no, they are the last team to go. If I zoom as far up, they are the furthest team possible back here. And now what that means is when they hit this overdrive grenade, you can see they're just going to fly over the entire lobby. Also, very important note, staying high from this early. You notice, like, because they ramped up and they took this high layer after their first overdrive grenade, that gives them such a free second, right? Like, the only team really who could shoot them was Having Diminished, who were just tarping over it at that timing there. So they got a completely free rotate to the front side. And now you notice they land in the storm right at the front. So they've essentially done, are they in the zone yet? Let me see. They're pretty much in the 9th zone. So they've managed to just use a single overdrive grenade to make this one entire rotate. When a lot of these teams, like, imagine if you're one of these teams in the middle, like how many mats like Mirops and QK are using, or Booga, Batman Booga, not the Booga, Higgs Curve or Batman Higgs, whatever you want to call them. How many mats and overdrive nades these guys are using in comparison when Boltz and Acorn have just used a single grenade, gotten to front side, and now claim storm. And now obviously they're gonna have to use some of their whites, right? They both have an 80 chug and a 40 chug for Boltz. So they're gonna have to use some of those like little stinky chugs that they've like half used up, but they've managed to save so many mats on that rotate. Also, it's important that they did make like 3 full metal boxes on low ground too, because if they get W keyed or sprayed or something, then of course they've got a bunch of other metal boxes they can run back into. You can see actually that's just started to happen, right? They started to get focused and lobbied there, but they've already healed and they've got a ton of space. Now I'm interested in how they get out of this for the next rotate, because as I mentioned, right, they were high in a good position before. They skipped the whole rotate, but now they're in a kind of rough low ground position. Everyone's going to box over them. So I'm interested in how do they make that in the next rotate, right? A lot of teams in this scenario would continue to rotate deep. I guess they kind of are deep, right? They're like right at the back of zone, but there are teams like building over the top of them. So it'd be interesting to see like, okay, how do they get out of this kind of questionable position for the next zone? Right, the overdrive grenade first, because they're not going to be able to use one to fly because they're totally blocked. They're going to need to just do a sprint rotate. Oh, Cooper's lost on the low ground, unfortunately. Zone pulls max. This is risky. This is risky. This is kind of what I mean, where like they did a good job going super early, but they are in a kind of scuffed spot, right? They're getting cut off by a bunch of other teams. Everyone else is trying to push into them, fight into them at the same time. Nice little kill from Acorn there, but they're still in a kind of rough spot. Oh my god, there's so much loot at the backside. They did a really good job just fragging out there. I think they just got 3 elims straight off the rip. I think they only got 2 actually. Let me see. The miss. The long piece from Acorn. ADS pump from Boltz. Come on, let's see it. Hits the reload. Let's see. Bunch of guys at the back. That's just okay. They got 2 kills there. Either way, bunch of mats though. And of course got another chug out of it. 30. He actually, everyone only really actually had siphon mats there, so they didn't actually get too much. But that's still really good at this point of the game. But the problem is you can see how like scuffed this was based on the previous zone. They basically played this as good as they could have, right? They were scuffed. Everyone was like running on top of them. Like, let's have a look at the actual options now that the zone's pulling, right? They ran out this way, which is great, but you can see they kind of got cut off straight away. The fact that they threw a nade early was perfect. Again, they're being cut off. Look at many teams landing on top of them. They've got to the front, which is really good. The main way they just made this entire rotate here is because they planned, they put the nade first, and then they just legged it, right? You don't want to get cut off in this scenario. You want to be the guys who are right at the front. And now, for example, like, imagine they had spent their time. If they'd been slightly slower, they would be in the position like Chance and Ritual is right now. Like, they're the ones stuck at the backside getting fragged by one team who has gotten a little bit more ahead of them. All right, now I'm going to play the chugs out. This is a really good time to play these chugs out, actually, because they've not taken really any storm up until this point. And again, they're getting kind of cut off. The zone's pulling this side. There's a bunch of teams in front. So now by sitting and playing their chug jugs at the backside of Storm here, they can just use another overdrive grenade to skip over another zone. So basically a lot of their endgame strategy has essentially just been about skipping zones. So let's see where this ends up taking them. Jump up, get a good layer out to the side, and now they're pretty much in. So they ran half of this rotate with 1 nade, played Storm, and then skipped it with the other half. So very, very nice choice of rotates. Like, this has been a really nicely played end game so far. Now they're looking up to height. I mean, they have 50 builds. I was saying 50 builds each, 50 and 10. So not too many up on Boltz, but they are scouting out the height, see what it looks like. Gonna start to play the chug again, maybe? Nope. Going for a nade. I think there was just no established height. Okay, I guess there's just no established height, so they can just go up and take it then. Now you've got the dum-dum-dum rifles on height. The 50 per bullet, just spam rifles. I really don't like this Spire rifle, I'll be honest. It's kind of, you can just, like, it's not a fast enough fire rate that when you spray a wall, it bleeds through damage. So that, like, I do like that. That's good. But 50 bullets per clip means you can just kind of be done with it and just hold down the trigger. Just well, the click, and just dum with it. All right, the last of the builds come out. It's a 2v1. Someone playing heal off on the backside. I think it was Curve or Higgs. That's what I mean. You can just dum, spray down below. Oh, Boltz hits with Max. I mean, I guess the extending focus shotgun in these kind of scenarios is so good. Like, he did a bunch of damage earlier on as well. It's such a rapid in the back. And then you can also just spam with this. And yeah, the game's basically won from here on. Either way, some really, really nice endgame rotates. Some insanely fast rotates off spawn as well. Like, they looted their drop spot so quick. Banged straight into the center zone and then just played it from there. Really nice. I very much so like the game plan. Congrats to them for winning. Let's move on to EU. So just before I move on, I was kind of going through some of the games on Oceania to see what was actually happening. And I would imagine that the reason that Acorn was throwing that scanner in the early game was just because of games like this, where you can just see he just insta got lurked on. Like, they just got ran straight up on by this team right here, and then Boltz had to reboot them and all that kind of stuff. And it does kind of seem like their game plan is always just run center. Like, you can see from up in this spot here, just kind of run straight onto this. Like, they're not even staying in the POI, just trying to get as center as possible in first zone. Well, it's the second. I guess it's the second zone, right? Where were they here? No, you know, that was basically first zone that they were still there into the center of it, and then they just stay here for like 3 zones. And this this is the final game as well. It's the exact same thing, right? It pulls northwest, and you can see by minute 3, they're already out, which is insane. Like, they just basically get like capped hards, or, well, I mean, 250 metal's not even capped hards, right? It's close. And then they just go, right? They just get some loot, go, and they're already in the first zone. They're already inside of Battle Woods. This means that if anyone's trying to like W key them off spawn, right? Like if a team who's, you know, trying to make a sneaky lurk play or whatever attempts to, you're not going to be able to. They're gone. They've gone from here all the way to here and avoided everyone. And now, do they just stay here? They just stay. Yeah, now it's the 4th zone. Do they pull 5th? That'd be funny. Basically, pull a pretty good 5th zone as well for them in this final match. So yeah, they pretty much really don't have to do much in the mid game. They just absolutely leg it to a good spot super early, and that is the benefit of an early game, like a mid map drop spot. Which is funny because most of the conversation in the first 2 seasons of this chapter were the fact that edge maps were way better, edge drops were way better, and all the teams in the mid map were like really struggling. So this is funny. We've had 2 teams now who are much more mid map spot do well. I guess it's not entirely accurate based on the Sky and Scroll from last season. All right, on to EU Sky and Scroll. Now, I won't go too in depth. I'll do similar. I'll just go for a single game because I want to cover them in my main channel video. I actually don't know exactly what my main channel video is going to be yet up until this point, but I can't not talk about this. Look at the domination, 732 points. For a little bit of context here, this was every single region's winner, and looking at like the gap between 1st and 2nd, they had the biggest gap by far. Like Middle East, which was, by the way, also an EU team who won, which we'll come to later, had like, you know, a pretty big gap, 130 point gap between 1st and 2nd. But then look at the amount of points, 732. Not a single region was over 700 points, and they won 732, and they had the biggest gap between 1st and 2nd, and they won the most games. Absolute cinema, absolutely unbelievable team. So there's one game in particular I do want to watch. So as you can see, game 1, of course, Frosted Flats, but very similarly to, you know, what we just saw in NA, it's very common to get lurks in this because it is a mid-map spot. So many people can actually come and lurk on you. And this way he dipped was so good, by the way. This is how you should be dipping with the overdrive grenades. I missed it entirely. So he gets lurked on, immediately blocks himself, and then sprints. He doesn't jump, right? He doesn't like try and nade up through the air. He just nades horizontally and then slides backwards and just continually makes as many boxes as possible. Well, places as many walls as possible to get blocked. Now that he's gapped them, there's basically nothing they can do, right? They can chase over, but they actually don't even, well, they got 2 nades, and it's like, are we really going to key these guys? It's probably going to be a commitment to everything. So they end up just dipping. Now you can see Sky and Scroll already. This is first zone yet again. Thank you for the counter and updating. Doing the same thing. Rather than being a Frosted Flats, sometimes they did just stay in this drop spot, but you can see they've gone all the way up to this hill. Yet again, committed a bunch of nades. Very similar to where the Acorn was playing. Let me go back on the left. There we go. Now second zone is popped. So like, I think the same thing between both of these teams. They have essentially just gone center first, or like where would probably be center second. By the time second is popped up, they're already in position. Like, that's how fast they're already moving. Then of course, as is tradition, you've got one player up in the surge base, one player refarming all the mats to make sure you're basically still capped up. Now, this is very different from the strat that they played in Major 1 and in Summit, where they like played Hill and then played Storm afterwards. I think the main video I'm going to talk about on my main channel will be talking about the Storm and this kind of adaptation that players are making anyway. Let me just give a little bit of shortcut right now. I think there's so many people playing Storm that I think it actually has just made not playing Storm kind of the meta. Like, bro... you're all getting a chance at discovering what's going to happen in my main channel video, but look at this. Look at how many people are in the Storm, bro. That is insane. Like, that is insane. Look at the positioning that Sky and Scroll have, and like, they want to go center. There's just no one there. There's literally just like, yeah, you got to walk around this team, you got to rock on this team may be on a hill, but like, it's not like there's a massive amount of congestion. Just everybody is in the Storm. So I'm wondering, my theory here is that they'll be able to then play this position into Storm themselves. Are they going to decide to do that? I don't know if they are. They're going to nade here. I want to see, are they going to nade round? No, okay, they're just going to play. I was wondering if they would hold that position, because obviously all these Storm players have to rotate in at some point. So by holding that, I was wondering if they get a bunch of surge. They got like, well, it looked like 100, 200 surge. It wasn't like a crazy amount, and now they're just like nading in instead and just going for it. But I imagine this rotate is going to be pretty easy, right? Like, I want to watch this whole rotate in 1 time speed to see how difficult it truly is. Like, how many teams are they actually dealing with here? Because every single team is playing Storm. This is Nathan Nebs who was fighting them off spawn, right? They're ahead of them. Look, it's just one team, bro. It's literally just them in front. That's it. Obviously, they're a bit weary of the camp. They can't really wait here too long, because this is kind of the point where most teams are going to go right into dead side, right? So if they wait here too long, it's going to be so many teams behind them. But this 5th zone rotate is so easy. Literally. They're making sure they're not getting camped on. That's like the main issue they're having. Why is this big surge base in wood, by the way? Oh, it's connected to the tree that's... Okay, that makes sense. They use 2 nades, maybe 3 nades actually from earlier. Get onto Nathan's head. The freest rotate of all time, because everybody's in Storm. I think it's now because they're one of the first teams in. It's like similar to, again, the Acorn's game that we watched, where everyone's going to have to rotate into them. So now that they're on this like higher layer, sure, they're like 90 above Surge. Now they're 185, right? They get like a nice beam there. Sayaz also getting beam. Now they're 250 above. The one thing about Sky and Scroll is like every single partial position, they're always up really high, and they're always just absolutely lasering every single team. So like they get so many damage, so much damage, and so many eliminations from like positions like this. Now I already remember how this game goes. I want to see how they get down, because I think by the end of the next zone, they have almost no builds left. You can kind of guess where the sixth is going to pull. Oh, as it's about to pop, where's it going to go? Here. Yeah, there we go. I remember that. This is an absolute nightmare pool, right? So I know that they are kind of scuffed at the end of this, because again, I watched it on the broadcast, but like this is genuinely a nightmare rotate for almost everyone. So obviously everyone who's playing Storm has come in on this edge side. So like everyone playing Storm is now creating like even more congestion along the south side, because again, the North Pool, so everyone's going to, come up from this side. And for them, I think where is their actual position right now? Let me see. Oh, they're here. Yeah, sorry, they're here. So the fact that they didn't like go from the south side here actually benefits them quite a lot, because had they, come in and tried to wrap in dead side, they would have got stuck in even more congestion. Whereas here now they have a slightly easier rotate, because again, they're slightly ahead. That's a quite good point. Right, see how they rotate it? Hit the little overdrive grenade. Again, I think this might actually be all right. Again, Nathan and Ebbs is probably going to be one of the only teams that's going to be a problem for them, which, as you've seen, they've already gone. Already pumped Sky for a little. Scrolls got beamed too. Maybe Savage jumping on the head now. You've got a lot of teams all starting to go. The problem here is that in these kind of rotates, they had this position that was slightly ahead, and now that they've gotten weak and have to sit here and heal, a lot of teams have overtaken them, right? So now look how many teams are getting in front of them. Everyone's rotating ahead as they go. So now they're going to get stuck backside, so this becomes a really, like, an even more difficult rotate to make now. Right, they've hit the nade. Again, they're just kind of white lining. Like, you kind of just have to. Play pump out, use some mats, take your time. There's one of those kind of rotates where, I'll be honest, you're just using like 8 shockwave nades to try and get through. A lot of your mats. Good job building over, trying to get blocked. They've actually taken very little damage, to be honest, in comparison. Like, this is what I mean, where teams who play like very small amounts of surge, so like if you don't get that much damage in the early game, this is where it becomes very risky. Ooh, firing. Okay, guy on the wall. I think Sky managed to kill him. Yeah, Sky managed to get the kill. Okay, nice. Sorry, what I was saying was, for teams who don't get that much damage, a max distance partial is really tough, because like you're just inevitably going to lose damage on those. Whether it's like a solo cash cup with like 20 people alive or grand finals, like the max partials are always super rough. There's a ramp that Sky places here that I'm really interested in. I'm trying to figure out why he did it. I've seen a lot of these like edited ramps generally. You'll see he places a ramp, but downwards. This is obviously a reverse ramp, and then places another box up above him. He also does not place a floor, which I'm slightly confused about. But my theory here is they're trying to attack a wall here that's like up above. So they're trying to go for like a box up here. So by, placing a ramp like this, I imagine they're trying to prevent like a team from being underneath and like just spraying them out. But then why would you not also just place a floor? I don't really know that. I'm slightly confused by this setup. I don't know if they missed the floor. I'm trying to figure out why they did the reverse ramp though. It's probably something to do with like not getting like a team running into you or like running up, but then surely you'd place the floor. I'm not entirely sure. It is always funny watching VODs and being like, I wonder why they did that. And then the reality is he was probably just thinking, maybe we tarp down, and then he saw a box and he was like, nah, let's go up instead. 7 zone pools, and it's another nightmare. So again, similar to before, you see how the position they ended up in here, which is again like right in amongst all the congestion. Remember the previous zone, everyone was rotating up this way and everyone was on the south side. So they're all going to end up yet again on the same south side. So now that the zone pulls up, firstly, this is also up a mountain, by the way. They're in such a rough spot. Like, again, absolute nightmare. However, they got 76 builds and 71. They make one of the best rotates. I don't know how they do it, but I know the position they end up in here is so good. So I actually want to see what they end up doing. Not instant, actually. They took their time. Oh, that was such a nice little bunny hop. This is absolutely something you want to have mastered at this point. A lot of the best players have. Because think in this scenario, right? He's about to hit the nade. So from here, most players in this scenario are just going to get stuck down here, right? The trajectory that he's falling, he's just going to get stuck, and then someone's going to overdrive over him, shoot him in the back or whatever. But because he just places the floors, slides and jumps, he just gets over all of that. It's so nice. Just such like a very small little mechanic. But like that's a mistake where a lot of players would die. And as I say that, Scroll's getting packed in right now. And now look at the position. The zone pools Scroll's here, by the way, kind of where Shark and Teeny are. And they've, instead of just going towards everyone, they've committed one nade to go all the way around this way. And again, the slide bunny hop, you can see how far that slide bunny hop's taken Sky here. Scroll's obviously a little bit behind, and he's not like panicking to get back to him. And, unless Scroll get W keyed, that would be kind of worrying. But you can see the position. Like you can already see where this rotate is going here without even having to do, well, think. What's the word I'm trying to say? No one, literally no one else is doing this. No one on that south side is making this same smart rotate that they have. They are committing all of their nades. Sky still has a couple left, 60 builds. I swear they had less builds than this. Maybe they get lobby focused at some point. They do have to now build up all the way on top of this hill. I swear they had like 10 builds in this. Ah, they're now 50 below. Okay, they're now 50 below because again, they've been getting tagged for damage and they've not been doing a huge amount either. Trying to nade up, trying to save mats, tanking a little storm. Really nice little rotate. There we go. Okay. Scroll now has 4 builds. They're 40 below. Look at the position though. Oh my god. Just look at the map, man. There's them, Turtle and Ass are on height up above them, and then everyone else. This is genuinely chef's kiss. What a well-played game. Truly, truly beautiful. Let's just take a moment to appreciate this position, just from a wide angle. Yeah, you've got Turtle and Ass on height, but they pulled zone on the hill. Look at all of these stinky teams, man. Every single one of them's made a crap rotate, and look at the boss. The boss. Look at where they are, man. Look at this. Secondly, on top of this, 36 builds, 4 builds, 40 builds total, so they split. And look at how chill they are. They are 19 below Surge, okay? A lot of teams, like, in this situation, they're panicking. We need to do damage. We gotta deal damage. We gotta deal damage. They are cool as a cucumber. They end up jumping down to front side here, you know, sprint down. They go 100 above, not because they got any damage, just because of net Surge. Someone took damage, or someone died. They're just refarming. Just spending some time refarming. Let's get our mats up. Who else in this zone has the ability to refarm? Think any of these guys are refarming? No, not an absolute chance, man. They put themselves in such a good position, made such a good rotate. They just sit, yeah, let's get our metal back up. We can farm. It's the 8th zone. We're all chilling here. Yeah, sure, we're on the edge of Surge, but let's not panic. We'll be fine. Oh, there's some really good rocks here. We've got some of the best rocks in the whole game, in the end game, because we're at the front side and no one else has made this level of good rotate. Totally chill. Not a problem. Now we've got, what, they were on 40 builds, and now they've got to 60 or 70 here. Plus they've placed some. So like they got like 40 builds out of that entire refarm and got the best position possible. And they didn't panic because they didn't have any Surge damage. Now, yet again, nade front side. Now, firstly, remembering everything they've been through this game, they win this match. They win this match from 14 builds with 35 builds. And one of the main things I talked about in the video where I did on them in the first major is that they always have time, right? Because they always get to the front side, because they're always in such good positions. I swear when you watch their endgame, there's no panic because they have like 10 minutes before they need to do anything. They can sit and heal. They can look like they're still in the best position here. Before I watch them kill Josh and Frosty here, again, let's scroll out for a second. No pun intended here. Sure, Asa, Turtle are on high. Everyone's in this congestion, and then they're just fine. They're still like what, the most front team? Pink's a little bit ahead of them. They're still one of the most front teams, down by themselves in a little mailbox. Now they've got a position to kill Frosty and Josh, who fell down here. A couple of Elim points, kind of just 50-50 and off the rip here. And what, they'll get some siphon mats. Nice little kill here because these guys obviously didn't have much to take. And now, yet again, they're still front low ground. I swear in games like this, it's only Sky and Scroll who pull these kind of zones too, right? They did a really good job of like dropping down. But let's be honest, this is an extremely risky play because when you're in a mountain zone like this, dropping down to like a low ground position, like when they were over here, is extremely risky because if it pulls back, then you're like up through the congestion. But even when they were in this box here, like say the zone, like if the zone pulled maxed this way, like they can just go back up because they started around the edge and now they've stayed around the edge and there's just no one here. Like I think maybe in the next zone they run a bit more risk, but like even in what should be a risky zone, like they're just still in a really good position. 10 builds each now left. Let's see how they get the mats refreshed. Oh, Cammy's floor getting sprayed down. Overdrive grenade, not to throw themselves, but instead just to run. Ooh, really nice spot by Sky. Somehow gets catwood. Somehow just gets catwood and some hards. More wood left. Okay, maybe not that worth, but no refarm. Look, they're even trying to refarm in endgame, bro. This is crazy. Okay, breaking through into some old builds. Maybe they'll get themselves some more random piles of mats. No. And zone pulls to them, right? So here from this position, I think this is where they're running the risk, right? Had the zone pulled back over here instead of, well, maybe not that far, then they'd have to get up the hill. They'd probably be dead from this low ground. But because they've actually pulled it, now they're front, right? Like, this is a really good zone position. This kind of goes back to what I was saying in Acorns, where you take a risk here by going front low. They have no mats, so they can't really sharp. So like this is the good spot. But like you take advantage of the good RNG you get when you take a risk. Of course, if they pull bad RNG, it gets even worse. But like if they had a bad zone, yeah, it's not happening very well, is it? Like you're not getting up through there super easy with like what? Well, I was going to say 10 builds, but they got a cap wood now, didn't they? Now they can drop down to front, spend their time chopping. Top 10 teams already, because these hill zones, they die out fast. When the games in the partials pull a lot of maxes, like they die out very, very fast. I wonder if Sky's just spotted that big brick to refarm there. That'd be funny if they did. Yes, of course! Of course! They found another big brick to refarm in endgame. Now they've got some hards. I've never seen a team who refarms as hard. All right, they're letting a team kind of cut them off here, which is not ideal. They are getting stuck in all these old builds, but found a good path through. They're trying to get themselves a little tile for themselves. Sky still has a bunch of mats. Somehow still at the front side. Zone pulls north. I want to see if they go straight up. Yep. Sky's done a good job getting straight front. Because they have such a big tarp, Scroll can just kind of sit at the back, try and get an elim. Obviously didn't get any. While Sky creates the space at the front there. Just ratting around on low ground. Like, I swear, every team, like, every good... Oh, such a nice double pickaxe in. I swear, like, every good team is just dead, like, so long before this game because they try to do something really fancy. Let me actually analyze those refreshes because this is so far just been, like, 30 minutes and me just glazing them. This is really good awareness to actually spot. Firstly, in endgame, wood walls, super free kills. And the thing is, like, in a scenario like this where it's a top 5, you're kind of into one of the final moving zones. You don't need big refreshes because everyone's going to have nothing. So, like, any kill you get will give you, like, you know, siphon mats left. And that's, what, 3-4 boxes, depending how you play it. And if you're playing low ground, like Sky and Scroll, that's actually a lot of tiles of space that you can cover with those mats. So spotting there's a weak wall here where they can just double pickaxe in is really nice. So obviously they see all these guys fighting. Plet just goes down. You end up coning off the top, so don't get sprayed, and then just double pickaxe. Like, if you're this guy, you're not worried about, like, your teammate's dead. Like, you're not concerned here about, like, oh, is someone just going to double pickaxe in? Because it's so hard to counter that to start with. Double pickaxe in. He's no awareness. Missed the pump, unfortunately. You know, even some of the greatest managed to miss some of their pumps. Sky, me, we all do it. Then managed to get tons of mats from that because there's so many bodies there. And then how does he end up killing this? Flixie on low. That's a nice window, I'll be honest. That is a nice window by Flixie. Look at that. That's textbook little window crouch. And a nice pump, but Scroll swings left into it. And now just with all those bodies, it feels like they've basically got cat mats again. It's now Teeny and Shark versus them. Let's see how they win. I mean, this is an insanely aggressive play, by the way. I'm not sure what was going through Scroll's head here, but Sky has like 70 builds. I think Shark and Teeny have like almost nothing. They have almost nothing here. Scroll has literally 0 builds. He kills Teeny. I don't know how, because there was server lag there, unfortunately. He's got the pump out, so I imagine he hits the Mack. But to just have no mats and just say, I'm just overdriving on their head. I don't know if he panicked. I remember last major, they did just panic, take height one game, so I don't know if this was like a little bit of panic to try and win the game or not. But either way, yeah, and then Scroll won. I think he did a little jump shot. Let me see that again. All right, he's just hit the max. He's definitely feeling like he's him. Top 10 thought he was him moments here. I swear. Hits the nade. Okay, let's see. I missed this entire thing, don't I? Is Teeny just got no bullets or something? Like, how does he pause? Genuinely, how does he kill Teeny from here? I wonder if Scroll's got his recording on YouTube yet. We'll see. I don't know how he kills him. I genuinely have no clue how he's killed him here. Jumps up. No pistol reloaded. Crouch to avoid the shot. Max! Sky does. Sky has his video. Does Scroll have it up? Scroll. 26 minutes ago. My go. My go. All right. Little window. Dead? Let's see. Let's listen. Does he panic? Oh my god, it's just all pistol. Okay. Nice. Why do they not put the other games in? Why not get the other games in here, man? It's not just all the wins. Anyway, Scroll went crazy. Looking at the stats, I'd like to add that this is the first time, I think this chapter, that the Ranger pistol has been dethroned as the gun that does the most damage. Unsurprisingly, Spire's just like way better for Surge. So yeah, looking at the stats from EU, I probably should have done that for NA as well. Sky, best damage ratio, top damage, most elims, most assists, most time alive. My head is covering that. Most hits to players, so like just the most individual shots hit as well. Unreal game from Sky. What about Scroll? What was Scroll doing? Scroll. They also, like, I think I don't have like the solo clutch stats because I ain't that kind of built like that, unfortunately. Look at the time alive. 4 hours, 6 minutes, 4 hours, 5 minutes. So, like, they only had a minute. I was going to say solo, like a minute difference. I don't think they played a lot of solos. Like, a lot of the story from these guys in the past has been that they play, you know, there's always a lot of, like, solo clutch potential if one of them dies, the other one just isn't. But, like, I swear there wasn't that many solo clutches from memory from what we watched. They just stayed alive and just played so good together throughout the entire game. Obviously, why they won 4 games. So, yeah, Scroll also doing incredible work. Like, same thing. Look at the assists again. Doubling up on the assists here. Same as the major major that they won. Like, they're just shooting everyone. There's this really cool website, FN Analytics. We're getting a lot of cool analytics websites lately. It was made by a young gentleman right here with the worst Twitter handle of all time, I must say. Thank you for Esdivigigal. Appreciate that one. 237750. However, there's a lot of cool advanced statistics that he has. Damage contribution, assists properly, shots attempted, and then accuracy as well. So in his docs here, he has a bunch of like the ways that he's calculated what these are. I'm not going to go through them. If you're really interested in it, you can click on this. Like shot attempts, for example, detecting and classifying which shots were onto exposed enemy players. So like which shots you're taking that were actually onto another player rather than just like spamming at walls. So they count assists by assists are earned whenever a player deals damage that contributed to the team getting elimination. So any unhealed damage onto an opponent is eligible for an assist. So basically, if you shoot someone, they don't heal, and then your teammate kills them. That's probably maybe the easiest definition of it. And Scroll had the most. He had 15. So that means out of Sky's 32 elims, 15 of those Scroll damaged them, and then Sky killed them. So insane teamwork from them. So yeah, unbelievable team. It's no surprise they won by an insane margin. Let's move on to another EU team. You might be asking, what? Another EU team? What do you possibly mean by that? Well, an EU team won Middle East. Middle East was won by, yes, an EU team. Now, I'll be honest, a tier 3 EU team. I know one person does not like them being called a tier 3 EU team. I saw this tweet, tier 3 EU team, Lush and Howley won Middle East by 150 points. And Batali, you know, he's not saying very nice things. He said they're not tier 3 when they have more than 10 plus grands overall in qual EWC in previous year, and they outplaced by 1 point, blah, 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 blah. And then their placements, I'll be honest, bro, they are a tier 3 team. We could talk about EWC all we want. 26th, 31st, 29th, 42nd. No hate to these guys. He was talking about, yeah, we had a 5th in Grand Royale. That was 4 years ago. Was that 5 years ago? However long ago it was. That was a long time ago. And 99th as well. No hate to Howley and Lusha. I'm just saying, though, like, I think it's fine to say these guys are a tier 3 EU team. You know, especially as a duo. This major in EU, they placed 26th, and then they won major 2. So, in Middle East. No hate to them, but they are literally smurfing. This is their match history, which is crazy. They got an insane amount of elims. I think they got the most elims out of any winning team. Yeah, they got 64 when like Sky and Scroll got 54, for example. Brazil's Mack and Diguera got 61. So they got the most elims out of any winning team. And they dropped like a lot of just 10 elim games. Now, apparently they were TD stratting every game. So this is the drop spots that they chose. Shout out to KXR. You can see basically a lot of lurks on the east side of the map. So I want to jump in. I don't think I'll watch like a lot of their end games. I really just want to focus on how they were like dropping and how they changed that strategy up. So game 1, the dino spot. Yeah, why did that not work actually? All right, so you can see off the rip that they are landing at this split. So this is the bit they seem to land in like 6 of the games. And there's basically run north, camp the reboot van straight away. Okay, interesting. All right, so it seems this spot is insane, by the way. Seems like they're camping this one chest here. Howley's, of course, on the, what do you call it? The reboot van over there. Goes for the chest. I think maybe just get this a little too late. I just started to spray, so Lusha didn't actually end up getting involved there at all. Then they don't have many mats to get into this fight. I think maybe they get third partied. Almost get Salvatore down. He's got him super weak. Ooh, massive beam. And now Howley's basically got nothing. Nades up. He goes down. Not the best fight I've ever seen, I will be honest. Got the pump out. Jumps up onto height. Jumps off again. Still straight 0 mats because they just lurked without getting any loot. Yeah, and it's obviously... I mean, we know they die. So, no spoiler here. Boys got the... revive up down below because they didn't. Did they get the knock? They did get a knock, right? Ooh, another knock. I don't know what's happening in this fight, bro. Okay, and now they're dead. All right, so this game, they've double landed on this drop instead. I want to see how well planned they were with, ooh, are they going to go into the basement? Is that it? All right, so they're basically just looting the tunnels, get themselves a little bit of HP from the barrels here. So they're both 200. Where are they going to camp is what I want to know. Straight through the tunnel. Okay, so they're going through the tunnels, which means they're probably going to pop up on, what, Danikush's team, who also lurks in the tunnels? Ah, okay, so there's not really a lurk in this one. Yeah, they're kind of just fighting a team. This is like 5th zone way later, and they were like super scuffed. So they just kind of killed 2 kids. No real lurks on this game. First 2 games, not super successful, but they have decided to land at the exact same drop spot as they did in the previous game, which was dropping them down into the tunnels to get loot. This time, however, they've not gone through. They've decided to go back up. So what? They've got a couple builds. You know, you don't want to be lurking with one build. You know how it ended up for them in game number 1. Now it seems like they're pushing all the way out east to where Noms and Donatello is. It's not fair. Noms is also a fellow EU player, and he's running into 2 other camping EU players at the same time. I mean, when I said camping, I didn't mean it quite literally. They're in the tents. Come on, guys. You gotta give me this tweet. You gotta give me this one. You gotta give me this one. I think they just beam him. It seems like their teeny strats aren't necessarily as much just like, hey, we camp and we shoot you. It's just like our pump, you know, you go for this chest and we jump out and pump. It's literally just, we're just spraying as soon as someone gets close. This one makes a lot of sense though, because the team who lands on this island are usually really split, right? There's loot here. There's a lot of loot like down on the beach. It takes a while to like loot this island. So they're usually kind of split. So this is like a pretty smart push to go for. And they've also spotted the boss around here and get the mythic Maven as well. Cool. Let's move on to the next one. See what they do there. All right, this game we're landing way up north on this kind of split here. I think they've been spotted by this player, MJR. Seems like they have. Yeah, he's been spotted. They just kill him straight away. Wow. Middle East. Where is this guy landing, bro? What is this guy's strat? Respectfully, of course. How he landed on his one chest? Obviously, they've been cut off here, but why? Now he's just got like one build. He just dies. Well, there's three, but he used them all. Okay, interesting. And then they just go and steal the loot path. Pretty good. I mean, I don't know how this would have worked if that guy, you know, had anything. Full stop. If he had any builds, or if he didn't land on a single chest. But all right, we're back to the old reliable. This drop spot, which no one seems to have taken so far, somehow. Same thing. Insta rotated all the way over to this side. Crouched. This guy obviously doesn't know they're coming. He's 100 HP for whatever reason as well. And it gets a little free kill. I mean, I'll be honest, a lot of their like teeny strats, a lot of these players are just lost in the sauce. This is mean. This is mean teeny stratting and switching up drop spots and camming up people's loot paths in the Middle East, bro. These guys don't know what's hit them. Yeah, I think you guys get the point. I'm not going to watch the other 6 games. You've got a gist of how it is so far. It's just mean. It's just mean. That's all. All right, moving on to the most competitive region of all time, NA West, which of course is run by Epikwhale and Pxmp. I mean, you know this region's good when Fact City comes 18th. Did win 3 games in a row, so let's jump into the highest kill game, see what the strats are. Alrighty, Epikwhale and Pxmp. Where are we landing? Calamari Canyon. Now, are they conned here? No. Okay, we got blue drop off in this random match we're watching. Nice. So, Calamari Canyon, of course, the same drop spot that Teeny and Shark were in EU. I guess from the lighthouse here, they get a nice couple easy tags. Insta off. It's one of the benefits. I feel like we've not been seeing too much of that this season because of the ability to drop your glider. So the ability to get like some tags out of the sky, pretty rare. So this drop spot, of course, has that benefit depending on, you know, where the bus path is. And there's not that many teams around them. So I'm just basing this off EU because obviously EU is the main thing I watch. There are teams everywhere, conned every single place. They're super free damage for Shark and Teeny. So see what they do for Surge. All right, so straight off the bat, a distinction between the regions we've seen so far is that they are not just running center. Of course, center in this, like had they gone as quick as some of like Acorn and Boltz or Sky and Scroll, they would be over here already, or, you know, in this kind of position already, but they are still back here in Calamari Canyon. So I don't know if they're going to play Storm, maybe play it similar to how Sky and Scroll played last season, so like the OG meta that we're seeing. We will see if they end up playing Storm. I don't think they actually have medkits, do they? So, oh, they do. They have medkits, so they may be playing like the same strat. This is the outdated strat at this point. Again, if you're unaware what to do, you basically don't take any Storm damage before second zone, and then you can play Storm all the way into like the 6th, I think, in this instance. For them, it doesn't seem like they're doing it. They're just running deeper right now, so we'll see if they continue that. Pushing up on the vending machine, the one thing I think that's different about NA, like the smaller regions from the bigger region, and there's a lot of things that differentiate these, but I think one of the main things is that in every one of the games from like Europe and I don't know about NA Central, I didn't check too deeply, it's like every vending machine just had like a team boxed on it. You know, we saw it was Acorn's entire strat to box on the vending machine super early. But like at this point in the game, like 3rd zone, you know, you'd think this would be completely covered by now, but this team's kind of just rotated past, bought something from it, left it kind of open. And obviously Pxmp and Epikwhale are aware that it might be getting lurked on. However, like the fact that it's free is kind of surprising. There's also like, I've already seen, I swear, like 150 damage that Epic has done onto teams who are rotating past, who are just not covering their angles whatsoever. We love small regions. In all seriousness though, it is stuff like that, which is why a lot of smaller region teams struggle on bigger events, like when they go to globals, when they went to the summit, for example, is because they don't have as many like free surge tags on players who just don't know how to rotate. All right, so Pxmp has claimed the vending machine from here, also just refarming out this entire building. So really good. So I guess rather than playing Storm in 2nd zone, they're playing it in the 3rd zone here. So they've rotated into 3rd zone, and then they're going to play out medkits. Because they have the vending machine here, obviously that's going to give them even more. They're also going to be able to then camp on any other teams who want to come here for that vending machine, like if you want Choppa's team up there. So more surge if they decide to get here, maybe a potential lurk, we will see. More medkits bought from Pxmp. He's also got a scanner, similar to what we saw Acorn do, something that's definitely become the meta towards Grands. You know, I don't really seen Focus do that in some of the earlier tournaments. Actually, it seems to be just become way more popular because, of course, in Grands, everyone's going to lurk way more. Look how many people are... this isn't actually as many people are playing Storms as you. What is this thing, by the way? What is this on the map? Why have we got like a little Kevin the Cube floating here? Is this like a pubs thing? It's like one of those maybe a little pubs thing. It's just shown on the map for some reason. Ooh. What is going on, Mo? Is this a comp thing or is this in pubs? I imagine they're just going to play from the Rift from this position here. I did see on NA Muzz tried to do that and they were winning and he died to the storm because there was a bug with the Rift, which is always fun. For some pops, there's 300 above surge because of everyone's lovely rotates. Ah, see, there is the exact scenario. Maybe not in that scenario. Is where that long range, the extending focus shotgun. Like the extending focus shotgun in that range, you get a little tag that you probably would miss with the assault rifle. All right, couple barrels, even nicer. They still got 3 medkits left, so they're probably moving here. Yeah, they're leaving here at the timings where they still can play Storm later on if they need to. So they're not waiting too long. They're actually not going to play the Rift. I guess that's like this team's strat is to go Rift from here. Pretty common to do so. And now with this zone pulling Mack's edge, there's a high probability it's going to pull back to the west here. And it could go south, could go north. It's not going to pull east. So really good chance they're actually playing Storm. Yeah, it goes down here. So nice of them to rotate this straight into Storm. So now they're in a 2-tick. Probably going to start using a few of their overdrive nades to get deeper in. Yep, they're together. Overdrive nade together. They have so many white heals still. This is basically just exactly the strat that Sky and Scroll used in Major 1 and in the Summit as well. And what basically half of this lobby is doing. Excuse me? I was just about to say how they've basically had to waste a ton of their nades, but why is there just like all this loot here? Where's just all this random loot come across when they get in? Okay, free elimination as well. And now they just get their nades back. Okay, interesting. Again, main benefit here is that they get into Deadside. It's not that much of a benefit anymore because sure, there's a lot of people in congestion, but because so many people are playing Storm, like Deadside is not really that dead anymore. Like once this is about to close, I'll pause it right before. We've got a couple seconds and see exactly how much, you know, where the distribution is. Okay, just before the zone's popped up. So like, sure, they're in the center, but like there's so many players deeper. Like you've got this teams who've gone deeper here. Tons of teams on Deadside who've played Storm in. Like, obviously, there's no one down here, but why would you be there? And then just all these teams up to the north. So still a good position, but it's just not as strong as it was in the last season because a lot of people have caught on to this meta. Straight up onto a nice high layer. I love this. Again, based on what we were seeing from Acorn. Well, basically most of the discussion I had when we were watching through Acorn and Boltz. Like these higher layers and these kind of partials are so good. You get so many more opportunities for tags. And for your rotates because people don't build over your head. Oh, this was cool. Was this intentional? I'm not sure if this was intentional here to create a decoy box. I don't know if that's why they did like the double ramp over or if he just wanted to come down here. I'm not sure. Probably not. I don't think that would even do anything. I'm trying to figure out if they were like, hey, do we put this like fake double ramp up above so that people think we're going to peak from here when in really we're peaking from here. So then I don't think that, does that even matter? Like it might matter to get like one tag if they don't know, but I don't think that. Maybe I'm overthinking. Sometimes when you go into replay mode, you see them do something. It could be entirely accidental. I'm not here. I can't read their brains. They're not in the room with me, but all right, let's see where number 7 goes. Again, you know, this is more the zone, like the 6th zone, because everyone plays Storm into 5th, right? So that dead side wasn't really that valuable, still valuable in the 5th zone. But in 6th zone, this is where it's way more valuable because obviously it's like a 5-tick, so not as many people can play it. Again, similar to what I've talked about in every video ever, deeper is better, but it's not always possible for, you know, guys like Epikwhale couldn't really get deeper a particular match. Zone pools pretty favorably. It's not the worst. They can just nade probably directly. The fact that I'm zooming in and seeing Faxity's name in a Grand's lobby, something's up here. All right, so they won 3 games. So I want to see how they won 3 games. Are they like full send and height every match? What we're doing here? Nades into the Storm. Really nice. Again, had they played like the full 2nd zone to 5th zone, this wouldn't be as doable because they'd probably get, I don't think active sickness here, but you know, you don't really have the chance to get as many, to take a Storm later into the end game, which is again the main loss of that. But I love the higher layer, you know, similar to every single time I've talked about this. Just committing some mats to get higher gives them such a free rotate. That was really nice. I really like the Storm rotate there. However, they're starting to run her lower on mats, 750. Like these kind of strats use a lot of materials. So, you know, these kind of teams need a lot more like elims in the end game to try and some fresh. They do get 10 kill win though, so should be chilling. It seems like they're immediately looking up to height. I mean, that's a tough height hold to take down. If they feel like just jumping straight onto it. But with 3 nades, probably not the best idea. Bro, I can't stop looking at Fax's name in Grants. This is such an unserious region, bro. I can't believe it. All right, nade under height, very, very nice. I mean, I guess it's just white lining towards zone. Gonna take a little damage there. Nice little box created. Oh, someone's in the box. The Macks from both of them coming out. Insta refresh. Do they get more nades? Cut 1 more nade. It's not the end of the world, but that guy still had tons of mats as well, so that's like a really nice refresh. Again, needing front side. Now the server lag has them staying. Where are we at? High layers. This is kind of like the typical way to retake high here, right? You nade front side. You look up. You've got time then to see what they're doing. They're in wood. That is literally the freest height retake of all time, just by sitting and spraying them out. Yeah. Chop them out. They're going to have nothing. They can't rebuild up so many times. Classic sign that they have absolutely nothing. I like how he's not overcommitting though, right? It's like, sure, they might have got chopped, but he just didn't jump straight up. Pump did. Take it back. All right, so they connect to the front here. Whale takes a nice angle, starts to go for the chop. They don't really actually get chopped. They get disconnected from here. Pump goes from the backside, tries to nade up as he chops yet again, and then it just becomes a fight. Again, they're not going to fight for it because they're in wood, so they have absolutely nothing. So Pump's claimed it by himself. Zone then pulls back. Very, very nice for them. He gets like 3 kills in a matter of seconds here. Control a player on height. Control a player on height. Let's see what we got. Where is it? Zyro at the back. A little bit of damage. Z-Link dead. Who else goes down? Chopper dead. Hearn dead. 3 elims. So he only got 2 there, but I think he maybe gets 1 to Storm, does he? I just saw he had 4 a second ago. Yeah, there you go. Z-Link goes... Oh, yeah. Oh, he gets the knock. Sorry. Yeah, there you go. Doesn't get many mats from it. I got literally no mats sitting on height. Gonna need a little refresh. This has been spraying this whole time. Pump gets the kill, drops back. Oh, lovely shot onto someone at the backside. There's a stud gamer. Or blood gangster. Okay, I can't read, apparently. Enough siphon mats now to get themselves back up. How no one has taken height from them? What in the NA West is this? Someone look up. Someone look at this guy. There's guys with 3 builds on height for the last 10 minutes. Please. Please. Oh my god. Everyone has so many mats down. Okay, gets another kill. They're just playing 0 build on height. Pump gets another kill. He's just hitting every single bullet. And then they just win. Height on these little... Bro, this is not a serious region. I'm sorry. This is not a serious region. Either way, the strat that they use is still the same as Sky Scroll strat from previous. Still works. Not sure if it'll still work on EU in Grands, but it'll work in like almost every level of lobby outside of that. All right, Brazil, Mack and Diguera. Let's go over the first win, see what they were doing. Alrighty, the boys are dropping Sinister Strip. Now, again, let's look at the drop spots we have so far. We have Frosted Flats, 2X, Sinister Strip, Calamari Canyon, and all over the place for Middle East. So again, I guess kind of similar, right? All the best drop spots are the ones that are not right at the edge of the map. Who would be surprised? I bet someone's won from Battlewoods in one of the smaller regions. All right, somehow nobody has killed Harley Quinn yet. Like this team in every region was like full fighting for it outside of NA, because obviously they don't want to fight Peterball. But it seems like this might be the first region that was actually won by one of the Mythic teams. So one of the teams with the Mythic AR or the Mythic Pistol, both running the Lancet, by the way, right now. It is funny that as soon as she whips out the rocket launcher, you can just put a wall between you and it just makes her rocket launch herself every single time. Anyway, now they have the Mythic AR. This thing is so unbelievably broken. They don't know how to overdrive grenade, apparently. Ooh, and they're getting bank shot. I've also seen no one really running the bank shot. None of like the winning teams either. So it was kind of just like, just been teams running Spire Rifle and Pistol, or Spire Rifle and Burst. I've seen 2. I just watched this back a second ago. There's 2 guys sneaking around. They saw their footsteps. I think they just went straight to key them. This is like game 1 of day 1. So obviously they're trying to be freaky. Straight over the head. I was gonna have to hear that. See, they're there. Both missed. I don't know why these guys are not doing anything. How do you not shoot them? Why you not? Was the team lurking? Were they doing what? I'm not sure. I can't believe I have to say this, but this is really good. They're clearing the mending machine before going for it. Now you think, why are you mentioning that? This is like the most obvious thing ever. It's because watching EU Grands was actually frustrating on how many teams died because there were just builds around one of the mending machines and they just didn't like claim it for themselves when it was Deepest Storm and someone was lurking on it. In a solo Cash Cup, you have to be aware of that. How in EU Grands are we not noticing that there are teams every single game camping on mending machines? Even if you don't notice them, like surely you predict it, you expect it. So yeah, they didn't die like that. The fight they took earlier has definitely slowed things down. So I don't know what like their main strat is, but they've still just stayed in Sinister to this point, and so has everyone else now rotated in around them, which is, you know, generally just makes rotating pretty tough after this. They're not playing medkit, so I assume that they're not going to try and play like a Storm strat or anything. And ideally, you want to be doing something that, you know, Sky and Scroll or Acorn and Boltz were doing, was just like boot at center, but because they did that fight earlier and got nothing out of it, just wasted kind of quite a lot of time. Pretty lucky zone pull for this match, I'll be honest. They're only 43 above because they've not really had like a Storm Surge strat. They haven't been doing anything. There's a team next to them and they kind of just pulled like a lucky zone from mid-map. Now obviously they ideally want to go get medkits or something, but now they kind of have to just waste their chugs for whites or anything they remember that they've got kind of lying around. Like they don't have like a base with a lot of extra heals like a lot of teams do. Now obviously they're trying to go straight back, like I said, get the whites. Bunch of players at the backside are just going to key them in 5-tick. No, it's 2-tick, sorry. Gets the kill onto Phelps, not Michael. Cypher now he gets the medkits from the kill. Okay. Still not that much above. Still only 100 above again because they've not really had like a surge strat. They keyed someone, it didn't work. Diguera straight in the box. Okay, managed to wipe him out at least. And now they're 180 above. Now, if you're a team who like never gets elims and you want to get some more, not necessarily refreshes, but actually just points from eliminations, you can see they've only got 2 right here. And the zone kind of pulls up to this north side. They insta. You can't see the time again because replay is not working, but insta hit the nade to try and get up to a front position. And then they get up and they start building up. So Diguera here starts building a couple metal ramps, little base to position himself in. So he's in a nice like high-ish layer where he's got good sight lines. You can see they're first. This is the position here. I mean, I don't know how none of these teams have rotated in, but I guess, you know, small region syndrome. And now from here, they get like 3 kills in a matter of like milliseconds. Zone starts to move, so the players at the backside start to come in. This gun is insanely busted. Maybe it doesn't seem like it right in this particular second, but there you go. First one. Gia goes down. Bunch of players at the backside. Pedron does not stand a chance. Hit the little reload. Where's the other 2 elims? That guy starts to shoot from the backside for whatever reason. And then Pedron's also dead. So 3 kills, super quick. Mack got 2, Diguera got 1. So just from like getting early rotate, higher position, sitting up with a lot of angles, and you're just chilling. The Mack zone starts to pull now. I wonder if they do the exact same thing here around the right-hand side. This little hesitation that they've had here, where they haven't planned for this, is bad, right? Because in this instance, what like most of the best teams are doing is you're trying to figure out what do we do if a zone pulls over here? What do we do if it pulls over here? Like what do we do in the worst case possible scenario? And for them now, they've kind of just sat and done nothing. Obviously, got the elims, right? That was good. But they didn't plan for this rotation. And now everyone's got ahead of them, right? So like they've gone from being the first team ahead to now being like one of the last teams because they couldn't just go insta. You could see opening the map, still one of the last teams to go. Everyone's boxing in front of them. This is the kind of mistake that gets people killed on an EUNA, as we saw from some of the other regions. Nice wrap round dead side. They're going to try and follow this team in, probably shoot them in the back. As annoying as that is, I've come to appreciate just shooting everyone as you rotate. And they made a really nice rotate here. I actually really like the way that they've built up on this right side here. So they did a good job of like going into dead side and wrapping in and then building up over. So like, you know, most of the lobby is kind of in this position. I don't know why they weren't shooting them as they rotated, but you can ramp up and then it just kind of protect from the front with the ramps and then with the walls from that left hand side there. So, you know, they're not like running up in the middle where they can get lobby focused by tons of teams. It's just they've covered like 2 different angles and been protected. Respectfully, this is now the second time in this one game where I've seen them do this. I'm just mentioning that. You can't make that up, bro. They did it again. They fumble it. Not ideal. Get up to front side. Here we go. And then fumble it again. I mean, I think that time in their defense, they were trying to like they were getting sprayed and he tried to like turbo build and hold it. So the third one, actually, not even the second one, I'll give them credit for. All right, this is really nice. This zone pulls kind of slightly towards them. As you can see, they are kind of like stuck in the slight middle here. They make a really nice rotate. So just create a little tart, block the tops, is what it is. Right at the edge of zone. Nice play. They start to run relatively low in mats, kind of similar to what Acorn was doing. Play the chug jugs on the backside so they can just skip an entire zone. Very, very nice. Really like this rotate. The one thing he does a really good job of is always being at edge of zone there. Every single time the zone pulls, he's right at the side here. Just gives him like a little free lane to tarp through. So I think this here's the play that actually just won them this match by far. Trying to jump in, and then they notice zone pulls completely max. So it was previously pulling kind of from this side over here, and then towards them. So it's pulled completely max. As you can see, that means no one's at front side whatsoever here. So rather than like tunnel visioning on this kill they tried to get here, they just kind of tarp out a second, hit a nade. And if I zoom out, you'll notice there's just absolutely no one over here. Total free up onto the hill, which allows them to go up. They've claimed this front side here. And then obviously they've got, what, a couple mats left, but everyone struggles then behind them. They're all trying to get up the hill to the same position that they've got. Gives them time to then heal. And then at that moment, they can start box fighting. So they get a bunch of eliminations of the players down below right here. Knight down below gets out. There's another player running through. Yep, that's 2 elims for them there. They get a bunch of the mats refreshed on that, and that essentially ends them, you know, allows them to win the game from there. Alrighty, Asia was won by Koyota and Yuma, who land Lefty Lodge. So this is the first team who really isn't playing like a super, you know, central map POI. Of course, Lefty has like a bunch of benefits, especially when you pull zones. So if you take like this game, for example, which is not the one we're watching right now, you can see they can basically just like stay on this hill. They stayed here until 5th zone, then it pulled max. So, you know, you really don't have to worry about too much going on in the early game whatsoever. And then I think this game was the same as well. It was like really close. It pulled directly on them. So they had some really nice zone RNG. And I think they won both of those games. They had first and second on those games that the zone pulled to them, so they definitely took advantage of the good RNG and the hill positioning. However, in games like this, they were on the ball. You might think they're going to sit here and fanny around and play Storm, but they absolutely did not. They pretty much did exactly the same as what we've been seeing Sky and Scroll do, that we've been seeing Acorn do. So a lot of the winners are basically on to the exact same strats. They got some loot, close to cap hards, tons of golds, like a 4 chug jug straight up, not a loadout to play Storm whatsoever. And then as soon as this zone pops, they just get out here. Well, not as soon because it's already gone right now. I'm trying to stall until they actually go for it. Yeah, there we go. Running all the way up to the hill here, hit the launch pad, and they can just rotate around the edge of the map. So they're not like trying to play Storm and Lifty and then like sit around, do something later here. They're just instantly rotating, using the nade to try and get to like a good power position as close to center as possible. And yeah, again, this is literally like almost the same hill as in the same area, of course, in the same kind of zone that Sky and Scroll was taking. And they're here at the start of the second zone. Right, going for the supply drop. There's one that dropped near them. So out of this, he gets a bank shot pistol and then the boots, which I find interesting. I think they drop the boots later. But this is the first instance of someone actually using the bank shot pistol that we've seen from any winner. Obviously, some other players are, but this is the first time I actually seen him pick it up. So I want to see if he hit some bangs with it or not. Important to note, he did drop his pistol. You can see his pistols here as well. So he did carry it all the way up. So he's obviously not intending on taking this for the rest of the game, I imagine. Whilst I was... you'll notice that there's a lot less players inside of Storm. Now, my question here becomes, is there less players playing Storm on Asia because everyone's so far ahead of the meta that they know we should just run into Storm early? Or are they further behind the other regions and they're not playing like the same meta, so like not everyone's playing the Storm as good as the EU teams were in the previous 2 seasons, so they just don't know about it yet? I would imagine it's one of those two. You know, I don't know which one. Similar again to what we've seen from a lot of the winners. Got into 5th zone early, boxed up, went on a high layer, and now they have tons of options for Surge. I've not really actually seen any bank shot pistol hits. I think I've seen like a 50 tag from miles away, but this is kind of now the time where this gun becomes really useful. You notice he did have a little bit of extra chug. It was like 50 or 60, I can't remember what he had left, and he ended up dropping it for the pistol. So he is intentionally taking this to get high damage shots here for Surge, and then maybe drop it later. We'll see. So yeah, the main theme we've been seeing with this strat is that there's not really been a single team who's done this like jump to the center strat early. It's like considerably above Surge. They're 153 above, not 4, 5, 600 like we've seen some of the teams who like take early fights or play Storm or whatever. Like they are really kind of close to the edge. Ooh, bit of a stinker of his own for them. Totally max. Similarly, pretty early rotate. Because they were a little deeper in, this meant that they weren't stuck in all that congestion, so that allowed them to take this early rotate as well. Yeah, again, we've gone to the 6th zone. Nice high layer. That's what we like to see. None of this dropping down onto, you know, one layer on low ground. I think Acorn's the only team I've seen do this actually successfully, where they stayed on low ground and got damage. So as crazy as this pistol is for Surge damage, every single shot he's hit with it so far has been like, you know, just a body shot damage. And because you can't hit a headshot without bouncing that shot at the same time, it's not like super useful at this point in the game. Like I imagine he would probably end up just dropping it if he found any heals later on. I would love to see some cool box fighting with it though. And maybe I'm also wrong. I've not seen the end game yet. So Koyota does get a kill here. There's a guy in his lair. And then Yuma insta drops the pistol for any other heal. So yeah, it's not really been super valuable. It's been good in very specific scenarios, but I just don't think it's actually worth carrying, I guess. I would love to have seen some cool tech with it, but unfortunately not really. Now again, because they've not taken Storm early, so, you know, because they've just basically taken 0 Storm damage up to this point, we can sit and then play the Chug Jugs, wait for the zone pullback. A nice little solo clutch coming up. It's the top 4 and it's top 18th so far. So this more goes back to what I mean about the fact they didn't play Storm. So the main benefit here is that you can sit and you can heal off. They have all those chugs. There's a bunch of med kits back there too that he potentially could have popped as well. Koya died, but he has the ability to sit and play them. And now he's got all the mats from all those little bodies they had too. So, you know, I think like one of the main things you're seeing from Acorn's team, you're seeing here from the Asia team, is that the ability just to sit and play med kits in endgame is so valuable. Those early game, like, you know, getting Storm Sickness strat does definitely negative you quite a lot. I said that horribly, but whatever. Same again. He waits for the zone to catch up. He built 2 single boxes before, and now he's playing the 40 chug out. Nades in. So again, this entire rotation strat where you're just getting a little bit... Ooh, actually, I'm just waffling. Nice little kill onto low ground there. Pops his last. I was going to say 10 chug. Obviously had more than that. Replay is just bugging, unsurprisingly. Never seen replay bug out before. But the amount of Storm that he's taken here just would not be possible had he played Storm a bunch earlier on. Which basically would have just ended his solo clutch, because it's just not possible to do this in the Storm. Or not possible to take this much Storm damage. Hits the nade. I think it's about to be over. 10 builds. I know this is a top 4 this game. I usually show wins, but I did not show this time because all the wins were basically like close zones. Whoa, lovely slide. Will he get the kill? Made a bit of ringer Rosie. No way he loses that as well. Okay, cool. So yeah, main thing with him, a lot of storm in endgame because they didn't take it earlier. Similar strats in the early game as well. Some of the smaller regions, there's not as lot of like cool little bits and bobs that I can pick out because they just don't do as many cool things as the good players on the big regions do. And I talked about a lot of them already. So one more region left, and that's the most competitive region. And that is, of course, OCE, which is won by Resignz and Tinka. What I find funny is that you would expect that the smaller regions have, like, more points because they can farm, like, the bad players. But I swear, like, EU, the hardest region, is the one that has the most points, the most consistent top team. And the small region teams are the ones with the lowest points. Now, in their winning tweet, apparently they were conned 6 out of 6 on day number 2. I don't know if that was griefers or just whatever people were trying to do. Tinka's the greatest player, so let's see what they were doing. You can see on day 2, definitely struggled a little more with his with the off-spawn being conned there than winning 3 games on day 1 is kind of nuts. And then, you know, a really good finish for them to actually clutch up. I think we have some OCE shenanigans coming up here. This looks a little too convenient for me. It looks a little too convenient for me. The first 6 games, we've got Tinka and Resignz taking this side. Twix and Jai, I imagine that's to pronounce it, on this side. And it's the final game of the day. You see the same thing. That's day number 1. Same split. And then the next day, you got game 1. You've got the same Giant Twix on this side. And then, yeah, you've got Fisher and Harry contesting. And they all fight. Do that. This team's still chilling over here, though. And in game 11, you see, obviously, this fight's still going on. Resignz goes down. I think Tinka gets the little 1v2, does he? Yeah, he gets the 1v2. Okay. So tell me why in the final game. Tell me why in the final game, when Tinka Resignz land this side, where is Jai gone? Where is he off to? Oh, he was trying to land at this side. 11 games landing here. Why all of a sudden in the final game are they over here? They haven't fought once, so it's not like they're trying to grief him. All right, off the rip. Definitely aiming to land on this side. No intent on landing on this side in the final match. Like 0. Not scouting to see where they've gone or anything. So either, I mean, he died. That's quite funny. They both died. Even funnier, actually. Either, all I'm saying is, the team who's been landing to the west of them, who hasn't killed them or fought them once in 11 games, decides to grief them in the final match. It is OCE, so that is a probability. Or they just randomly switch drop spots. Now, either way, it makes sense for Tinka and Resignz to move. Like, not saying anything, because there's another team, Eggman Fan 67, who landed here. So, like, more teams trying to beat them off spawn so they don't win. Because, obviously, it was super tight going into this final match. Very interesting, though. Either way, this is something that's really important about OCE and small regions and big regions at the same time. You will get people landing on you like this. So, another important note, let me see where they were actually landing. Alex and Reckless, who were, I can't remember if they were first, I can't check right now, or were close, were landing up here. So, something very different. And you can see, even in the game 11, they were in this area too. They kind of ended up getting scuffed and having to run away. But in the final game, because, you know, small regions and big ones, everyone griefs, everyone lands. They also swap drop spots. So if you see, they're no longer up here. They've just disappeared. And instead, they ran to, like, the mid-map, like, down here. They just took some loot in order to try and, like, get up spawn. Because, again, if a team tried to land on them, which I don't know if this team is always here. There's a lot of teams in this top left area. If a team tried to grief them, they're then just going to be a totally different drop spot. So having, like, something else planned is really good. Whether or not these guys swapped, who knows? But they made a good play to not land at the exact same drop spot. And then at the same time, so did Alex and Reckless, the two teams who could win, to prevent a team just landing on their head. This position they've gone to, the 4th zone, is actually really nice. I'll show you what they did in replays in a second. But you can see they've kind of gotten away from everyone on the edge here. And everyone else is going to rotate in by this side into the congestion. And now that they've got this, like, max 5th zone, you can see this is them there. They're rotating around the dead side and in. The path they decided to take here is also very nice. If you notice, they're using the natural line of sight of these hills around to kind of just cut off and go around them. You can kind of see the path they're taking here. All these teams are kind of having a mess and of scrap over there. And they can just kind of fly by unnoticed and then do the kind of same thing on this hill as well. I think they kind of wrap around the side here. Yeah, they do. They go around. There's one team over there. Don't need to shoot them. Whereas all of these teams who kind of took the white line and went over are all stuck in this kind of mess of a fight. They're all fighting each other back here. And Tinka and Resignz have already made this rotation very early. Again, every single game we've watched almost, all of the top teams are insta-rotating and getting deep and high layers on the 5th zone, basically. And just the bits I missed out from earlier, you'll see them down here in this section. They kind of immediately ran away in case the team ran in and griefed them. And then they kind of played some med kits and then just ran up. Like, they didn't spend too much time around here on the mending machine because I guess, I mean, this is a team calling them. I wonder if they're 100% trying to grief or whatever, but they just basically insta-white-lined it. I think, you know, one thing a lot of teams do is they, like, stagger these mid, like, or super early rotates, whereas they literally just ran. They just ran up, got into that kind of position up above, zone pulled west, and then they just got across with some nades. This is also really good. The zone pulls back here, and they don't panic. You know, a lot of players in this kind of end game when they're, you know, the championship is on the line. I'm not sure if Alex and Reckless actually died at this point or not, or if they knew they'd died at this point, but they overdrive grenade back into all of their old boxes. Like, a lot of people in endgame just have no clue where they're going, but take a little bit of time to see where you came from and figure out, do we have a bunch of old builds I can land on here rather than actually just using all the other mats can save you a bunch. All right, nice little height retake they've got coming up. This is a 10th zone, I think. Resignz looks from backside, sees almost nothing up there. Tinka can then see they're in wood, similar to what we saw from the other games. Chop them out. Resignz hits the nade from backside. Height is claimed. Nice little kill onto Paris down below. Not sure if they actually get the mats. Yeah, they do manage to get the mats. Absolutely nothing because it's just siphon. Actually, they got some bricks, so they're chilling. They get chopped. Woo, nice little shot on the way down. That's going to deter anyone who's down below from trying to come back up. And yeah, height is claimed. Either way, I think the main takeaway from this match, you know, they're just going to play height from here on out. They don't actually win. They end up coming second and then win the over thing. It would be a shame if these guys weren't at Globals because they were the best placing OCE team. I think they're 26th. They won one of the matches as well at the Summit. They have placed the best out of any OCE teams so far. So happy to see them make it either way. And I do think the changes they made, along with the same changes that Alex made in that final match, makes a lot of sense. And it's something we're starting to see a lot more commonly is like, you know, you're probably going to get griefed. You know a team's probably going to try and land on you. So change something up. Like the video, subscribe. This was a long one. Peace.